Hello once again. Dr. Zatku's For Instant audio concerning the content of a virtual course at a Christian college struck my fancy. I have a hard time dealing with who should deliver specific content as well as how deep into the topic we should proceed. A good case in point would be who should explain the birds and the bees to pubescent children. Most people would argue that it should be the mom for the girls and the dad for the boys. That would be great if they did that. So maybe the church should tackle this sensitive area. That too would be great. But not everybody sends his or her kids to church. On the long run, our schools are left with the indoctrination of this biological wonder. To be quite honest, though, not every kid is ready for this information. We call this phenomenon maturity. So now back to the scenario where the dean of the theology department feels that the content that will be delivered in an online environment has too much sexual and gambling content. I think that we could also include drugs and narcotics into this setting or segment. Once again, what is the maturity level of the students? Will the explicit nature of the material prick a chord in the students so that they will want to try this experiment? Does the instructor have to be so overly zealous with the graphic depiction of the content? Just as an informal survey, when do you think a man becomes mature? On the other side, when do you think a woman becomes mature? Okay, now on to Dr. Brown's remark. He said that 60% of college students admitted to cheating. I think the percentage is higher. I also think that online instruction gets a bad rap because of the availability or possibility of cheating. But when you take academic classes like these at Liberty University, what is there to cheat about? This reminds me of an ethics class I took 3 years ago. The instructor was mandated to give 3 tests per semester, so each test had 10 questions and was answered on a Scantron. He would give the test after his 45-minute daily lecture, and it would take a whole 5 minutes to complete. The thrust of this grading came from 3 written assignments and classroom participation. It was the participation that he was after. He wanted us to think about right and wrong and the world about us. The discussions were interesting, to say the least. After all, who determines right or wrong? On the not-so-muddy side, just on the wow side, Dr. Brown also talked about metadata. This was very interesting, as I did not know that if I copied and pasted this document into another document, some sensitive information would be transmitted with it. Lastly, I'd like to converse about what Dr. Zatku, in light passing, talked about in cognitive ambiguity. It took me a while to figure out the titles of the books as she was trying to catch her breath and rushing at the same time. I would like to read 1 or 2 of these books as they really seem to reflect how society views the up-and-coming generations. I am wondering if this view is consistent with texting and tweeting. That is, do all of the shortcuts cause students to have poor writing skills? Anyway, should the ambiguity be caused by the ability and availability to Google search any topic? Maybe. In some ways, the ambiguity is apathy. For those that took statistics, we could be redefining what the average range is of the normal distribution curve. What will I do with this information? Well, that depends on the job I get. If it is a self-contained classroom, I will deal with the ambiguity of writing every day. Having to express oneself in written form takes work. The more you do it, the better one gets at it. I suppose it's a lot like doing math. Practice makes perfect. Thank you for your time.